President Donald Trump.
Look, I have the biggest.
For more on the presidential debate, global affairs analyst Okenfe Liberty joins me now from New York in the United States of America. Good to have you join us on the program. What's your assessment? How did both men fare in the debate? Did they satisfactorily address the issues on the minds of Americans?
So this is one of the situations where I would say the debate was significantly insignificant. Why? Because the American people already know who these two people, right? You know, before Biden won the election, everybody knew he was owed. You know, Trump was president for 4 years, and we knew how that situation ended, especially with his handling of COVID. I think what people were potentially expecting wasn't necessarily what they received, being that they were able to caricature this entire performance into a 1.5 hour show, right, to determine the fate of the country. That's not necessarily how this works. A debate is just what it is. It was just a debate. An 1.5 hour performance is not going to erase the record that these two men had. That's just the simple fact. And so on the Democratic side, you know, a lot of people are just worked up over, I just don't know why they're so worked up. Yes, Biden had he did not start well, but, you know, as the vice president mentioned, he finished strong. So I think folks are just hyperventilating for no reason.
So you think the debate isn't strong enough to really influence voter decisions?
It should absolutely not. I'll probably say 95% of Americans already made up their mind who they are going to wait for. Who they are going to vote for. You know, 95% of Americans know who they are going to vote for. And do we even technically have undecided voters? I don't know how we can potentially have undecided voters when people already know these two candidates, right?
All right.
We know who Donald Trump is. We know who Joe Biden is. What is there not to decide between the two of them? And they've both been president, and all you got to do, you compare and contrast their record against each other over 4 years and what they'll be doing within the president, in and out of the presidency, and you'll be able to make your choice. So the idea that a performance based on 1.5 hours on TV that is basically based on optics is going to make people not vote for Biden or make people not vote for Donald Trump is just insane to me.
All right. And Donald Trump seemed more disciplined compared to his first debate showing in 2020. What could be responsible for that?
I don't know if you actually can call that discipline. What we saw again with Donald Trump is what we always see with Donald Trump, which is his Trumpian exaggeration. And I think the thing you can potentially give him credit for is that he does know how to speak in a non-political way, right? That will potentially make a regular person understand what he's saying, just because of how he exaggerates things, he lies about certain things, he just makes things up. So I don't really know if we saw a different Donald Trump last night than the same person that we'll be seeing all this while.
All right, and we know that a lot of comments have actually been trailing President Biden's performance in that debate. It does appear that at some point, do we call it that he froze? What do you say about that, really going into this election?
So, what I think is this: number one, did he over-prepare? Absolutely, he over-prepared. And it seems that he had a lot of his talking points just stuck here, and you know, he wasn't able to really articulate his vision for the American people, which I think the American people already know. But they saw how he stewarded the economy from COVID up to this point, you know, low unemployment, the infrastructure bill, the number of investment that he's been making in the country, the student loan forgiveness that he's done, the investment in the Black communities, the investment in HBCU, in historically Black colleges, you know, the increase in stock markets and whatnot. So, yes, he wasn't able to potentially articulate, you know, his victories and what he's done for the American people at the very beginning. But throughout the debate, you know, when he started regaining his confidence, and also don't forget, he used to stutter. You know, he's a stuttered person. So But I think that also came across a little bit more. But then again, these are two 80-plus-year-old folks on the debate stage. I don't know if people were expecting a performance from someone who's 45 or 50-year-old from an 80-year-old man. I don't know what people are really just worked up about.
All right, and we know that Mr. Trump tried to dodge the question about if he would accept the outcome of the 2024 election.
If you also watch the debate, right, like you realize that Trump barely answered the questions. And there were instances where the moderators, who I believe did not really do a good job in terms of when it comes to fact-checking him, they did not do that at all. For one reason or the other, they abrogated their duties and felt that was in their place. For, a few times, they literally had to ask Donald Trump, answer the question, let's go back to the question, let's answer, because they were asking him a question, he just go on a tangent on something else. They ask him a question, he goes on a tangent on something else. He wasn't really answering the question. So I don't really know what people were expecting from this debate. This is just typical Donald. This is what he does.
All right, then. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us, Global Affairs Analyst, who came for Liberty. Thank you for talking to us.